Welcome back, everybody, to the CONEXPO-CON podcast. I'm your host, as always, Taylor White. We are now post-show. We have so much to catch up on, and the guy that I have on here today, he has been on the CONEXPO podcast as well, I believe back in 2023 or 2024. And I would like to introduce a guy who was super busy at the show as well, too, Ryan from Rock Structures. Ryan, thanks for being here.
I appreciate you having me on, Taylor.
Yeah. We were just saying how we briefly saw each other at CONEXPO, but didn't get any time to catch up because I think we both had a quite busy schedule. Your schedule was probably even busier than mine. I think you were booth hopping there. You're at every booth, promoting a bunch of stuff and then just hanging out with people that wanted to say hi to you. So how was your CONEXPO experience? How was that?
It was good. It was busy, like you said. It's interesting because I've been going to CONEXPO since, I believe, 87 when they first had the show there. They brought it from Texas. And so it's really, I think I missed 2 years, but it's really taken on a different meaning for me. Being there as a kid and then now being there as an adult and a business owner, never would I have thought that I would have been sponsored, first of all, to be the CONEXPO. Second of all, be a part of the show like I am now. And then third of all, to have as many connections with manufacturers is what I do. It's interesting. It makes the show fun, but also it takes the fun out of the show as well, because you don't get to see everything. I barely made it in the North Hall, didn't make it in the Central Hall at all, didn't make it in the South Hall at all, didn't make it out to the Platinum lot. It was a long ways out there, but just didn't get to see as much as I wanted to. But West Hall was great, like always, and Festival Lot was great, like always, and the lot where Deere was at, that was great as well. So got to see some stuff, just not everything like I'm used to being able to do.
It is bittersweet, kind of like what you were saying, right? Like I think a lot of the people, especially that the people see on our CONEXPO show as well too, that we sponsor. A conversation that a lot of people were saying was, this year I tried to say no to a few more things. And, I think that is smart because it's like what you're saying. It's like, it is tough, right? Because so many, especially when you have an online presence, people want to, and rightfully so, right? They want you at their booths, they want you talking. And then, you kind of, at least for me, even, I was like, well, I felt like I wanted to do more time actually just kind of meandering around and seeing people that, watch our stuff online. And I think that's kind of like the coolest thing, just being able to kind of connect with all them. But what do you think? I mean, you've been going to the show for so long. Like, what's your biggest change that you've noticed, or what's the biggest change you've noticed from then to now?
Honestly, it's so much bigger now. There's a lot more vendors there. There's a lot more manufacturers there. There's actually a lot more info there too. Like when I walked into the North Hall, I was blown away by how much just technology was in there. Not necessarily technology as far as like GPS, but like just your everyday stuff that you need to make your business go, to make your business run. And like electrical parts, wear parts, stuff like that was all in there. I mean, it's interesting because as US, we don't think of where our machines come from, right? We don't think about where all of our parts come from, where all of our wear parts, tracks, chains, links, all that stuff. We don't think about where that stuff comes from. And we just think automatically, oh, everything's built in the US or everything's, assembled in the US or whatever, Canada. It's funny how really closed our eyes are when it comes to that type of stuff. There's so much stuff being made in all these different countries, and maybe it's assembled here in the US, but it doesn't matter where it's made. It's just the fact that we need it, right? Do we use it? Do we utilize it? And some parts is more quality than others. It doesn't really matter where it's built. It's just whether you get quality or not, whether you specify the quality or not. And you guys know as well as we do, without these other countries, we wouldn't have what we have. I mean, look at all these engine labels on everyone's machines. They're all China, they're all Japan, they're Korea. It's just interesting. You just walk into those other booths and into those different halls, and you start realizing it's not just here. It's everywhere. It's North America. It's all the European countries. It's everywhere. Asian countries. It's everywhere. It's pretty amazing the reach that the excavation construction world has, manufacturing has, because we need everyone's help to make sure that we get what we need and when we need it.
I think it was really interesting, it makes me think when you bring that point up, and it's such a good point because just the size of the booths, right? I mean, you have your Cats, Komatsu, John Deere, but like all these kind of brand, like your main head brands. I'm not saying that is the only main head brands, but obviously there's other ones or whatever. But I'm talking like the brands, right? And then now outside of those, like this year, well, the Sandy booth's getting a little bit bigger, or the Devlon booth's getting a little bit bigger, or the XMGG booth is getting a little bit big. And it's crazy. It's exactly to what you're saying. It's like the presence, and even I mean, look, a guy like Jimmy Starbuck, right? Big Sandy spokesman, big guy talks for Sandy, and the booths are getting bigger for a reason. Like there's market share and that's going those places. And I think that it's an interesting conversation because every brand has its place. And like you said, I think quality of the thing talks as well too. But I honestly think it's one of those crazy things where everybody's like has like pushback and pushback and pushback. And then eventually starts being embraced. And it's like, wow, okay. I mean, especially even around here. And I'm using Sandy as just an example. I'm not saying that that's the only one, but they came into our area, 6, 7 years ago, and everyone's like, huh, no way, not doing that. Nope, no way, not doing that. And then now you drive by a job site and you start seeing them a little bit more. So it makes you wonder and think, I find that probably got to be the biggest shift change of just seeing, like you said, the different brands from around the world that are becoming larger, right?
Yeah. Well, like South Korea, right? These Korean brands. You got Hyundai and you got Devlon, which are both owned by Hyundai now. I went back there in August, back to Hyundai in South Korea, and I was introduced to their brand new machine that they hadn't released yet. And they released it at ConExpo, and everyone saw the 230, the 260, the 210, the larger machines that they had already debuted at Bama. But I actually got a chance to get in those machines and run them for a week and just give them the goods and bads. Tilt rotator, GPS, 2D, 3D, just, I got to run them and put them through the ringer and give them feedback. And I was absolutely blown away, Taylor, by how far they've come. Like before, I got in a Hyundai and it was decent. It wasn't that great. But man, these new machines, I was blown away. I was blown away. I get in those cabs now and I'm like, probably one of the nicest cabs in the industry, and I mean, it's got the bells and whistles. It's got the 2 screens. It's got the nice seat. It's got the nice layout. It's got good cameras. It's interesting, like Cat came out with their next gen, what, 5, 6 years ago? And they're great, right? They're really nice. But man, I'll tell you what, these other companies are really catching. Look at John Deere, right? Like John Deere moves away from Hitachi and, they show up to this year's ConExpo, for them to go from more or less no machine to full production, what they've got. And it's good. They got 165,000 plus hours on machines that test pilots, operators have been running. So when you stop and think about it, these guys are they've got this different stuff coming in and their technology's there. Like look at John Deere now, Hyundai, Devlon, they've all got systems in place now that they've got the payload going. They've got the integrated 2D, 3D. They've got the integrated tilt rotators going into, I mean, there's just all this stuff that they're moving towards. That's where things are going. A lot of people talked about like electric, machines last ConExpo. You didn't really see them a whole lot this time. It's interesting to think like where's it going to go next, and technology is where it's been going for quite some time. Nothing against Hitachi, but I look at like what they just debuted. I mean, they've got a 7-inch screen, which it's a step in the right direction. It's a good camera, but it's not what it needs to be. And, I think that they realized that after seeing this show. I think they're like, oh, okay, we got to step it up. And maybe this land cross is going to do it. I don't know. But man, I'll tell you what, like, those are some dang nice machines. I ran a 135 at the Rototilt booth and cleaned up the booth after ConExpo. And I was amazed just how smooth those machines are. I mean, they are just a really, really, really good machine. And I've always known it because I've had Deeres, and a Deere is essentially a Hitachi. It was essentially a Hitachi with a John Deere motor and a Hitachi pump. So I know how smooth they are and how quick they are and how efficient they are. And, for them not to have the integrated, monitor system with the 2D, the 3D, the tilt rotators, the payload, things like that. I believe that's what we're going to see from Hitachi in ConExpo 29. If they don't, they're going to be even further behind.
Is there a market though, Ryan, for that's like, because I think what you get is, I think you have guys like, and I'm going to speak for myself. You have guys that are like, okay, I will spend more so that my operators have all the stuff that we're talking about. But then I do believe, and because they want to utilize technology and they want the comfier seats for the guys that have ventilated and heated seats and shit, which is all stuff that's like crazy that it's in there now. But that's reality, right? You want good guys to sit in the seats. That's what it is. But does Hitachi and will Hitachi and Kubota always have these places with the machinery that's just kind of like, hey, we got a radio and AC, and that's what it is. Because is there enough contractors out there that will buy these machines and say, I don't care about the bells and whistles. I don't care about the fancy seat or heated and cooled seat. I just want a machine that can dig when I need it to dig. What do you think?
There's always going to be those guys out there for sure. But when you stop and think about it, if you got, like me personally, I was loading a truck on Saturday with boulders and I was running a Cat Next Gen excavator. Well, I don't have a scale on site. So I was using that excavator to weigh every rock, right? And so it's tallying things up. And when I get done with loading, I'm at like 32.4 tons. And I told the driver, the driver wanted to be right around 32. I'm like, hey, go weigh that over at the scale. Go over to the truck stop and weigh that. And he called me up and said, hey, I'm at 31.8. I mean, I was like really close, right? That type of a thing right there. A lot of times operators are going to get in these machines. They're just going to run. They don't care about anything, right? They don't care about 2D. They don't care about tilt rotators. They don't care about 3D. They don't care about the air conditioned seats, which sure, air conditioned seats over time, they might go away or they might not work. So then they might not be worth it. But if you can order a premium seat or you can't order a premium seat, your guys are going to want to order a premium seat. So anyways, going back to the payload stuff, if you can weigh trucks every time, you know how much material you're moving, right? Every single day. And if you don't have a scale on site, like a lot of guys, how many guys out there load on site and they're just loading and hauling? And like you said, they have no idea, and then next thing you know, they're getting pulled over and their trucks are getting weighed and they're getting screwed. And then guys don't want to come back. Or I have guys all the time, hey, you overloaded me, If you could tell them, no, I didn't overload you. I put in 32 ton in that truck, or I put in 31.68 tons in that truck. Then they'll be like, oh, okay. Things like that are just going to become the normal to where, like we talked to John Deere 6 years ago about this type of a thing. And yeah, it was important because we want to know how many tons we're taking out on a job in a day. A lot of people's pricing is based off of yardage or tonnage. And so if you're basing that off of tonnage and you're keeping a tally every day about how many tons you're moving, then you can know whether your operator is efficient or not.
Yeah. Or you run into, we use it, especially even too, when we run into change orders, right? It's like, we're charging a per ton rate. It's like, well, it's easy to see the information now because our machines are equipped with that info.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's just, I think, where it's going to go. I think that's where it needs to go. The pure and simple fact that maybe that people don't want the air conditioned seats, but the cameras for the safety is great. the air conditioning inside the machine, the HVAC, that's huge. The amount of glass that's in the machine and be able to see, that's huge. Monitors, right? The one nice thing about having two monitors is you have your 3D system up here on top or the bottom, and you have your machine on the top of the bottom. So you can know exactly where everything's at. Like I think right now there's some manufacturers that it can only do one or the other. I don't think you can split it, but it's one of those things that if you could split it, great. But if you can't split it, then you need to have two monitors or to have the ability to split it. So I think that's kind of where it needs to go, where it's going to go. I think it's not going to take long to get to that point. I think Sany will be there. If they're not there right now, they'll be on the next one because they're doing everything they can do to get some market share. Hyundai's there, Devlon's there, Cat's there, Deere's there. Like you said, XCMG's booth, was pretty big. Cabelco's booth was huge. Liebherr booth was big, like it always is. They always have a good presence there. I think other things you're going to see too is crushers. Look at these little crushers that they have come out. I mean, you load them with minis, and they're doing 70 tons an hour. That's not bad, and then you have these big ones that are 70, 75, 80,000 pounds, There's going to be some that they're going to be popping their heads up that are be in the middle, right in that 30, 32, 38,000, 40,000 pound range. They're going to be used a lot. There's a lot of rock around here, like Park City area, a lot of big homes going in. I think they're going to be used on that type of stuff a lot because it's going to do away with so much export, because you're hammering all your stuff out or you're grinding all your stuff out with a grinder, and all the material you're taking out, you got to get rid of it. Now, if you could crush it up and process it, probably become pretty good material. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to start being like, hey, like gravel prices nowadays are so expensive, and same with, any aggregates expensive. If you can do something on site to recycle your material, I think that's going to be a big way that people are going to go as well.
Yeah, the reuse is here as well too, and even not just rock, but like soil. Like there's a lot of soil remediation machines now too that can take not even so much contaminated, but just up here, in Ottawa, we have this rule where if it's anything other than topsoil, it's essentially got to go to these excess soil depots. It's crazy, the soil management up here, and it's very expensive to get rid of. So you either have to find a spot that is classified for a fill rather than a cut, and then you could take that material and bring it there, or you can clean the soil as well too. That's also huge right now as well. But those machines, they're almost $1 million, 7 figures just for the one machine. But I mean, it kind of would pay for itself after a couple large scale jobs. But I am interested to know, like last time that we spoke, you were kind of perfecting and not perfecting, you were already perfected the residential market and like the big homes and obviously the boulder walls and stuff. What has your business been doing since the last time we talked as far as growth, or maybe not growth, or just perfecting your people or new machinery, or just how have things been since we last talked business wise?
Things are pretty much the same. I'm residential, 90% of residential excavation, rock walls, go along with that. We've got a project manager estimator that joined us about a year ago. That's been great for us. And he's geared a little bit more towards, helping us get things done and getting bids out there. We've seen some upticks in our builders. They want us to be able to do development for them too. They figure, hey, if we're going to have somebody come in and do all the horizontal work, get all the roads and everything all in, the main lines in and done, we want them to dig the basements as well. And so now it's like, okay, well, there's some that we're doing to where we're actually getting into some development stuff now, some horizontal stuff. So that's been good. Having him part of the team has made it to where not where I really want to scale the business and make it a lot bigger. I'm not looking to become bigger. I'm looking to become better. And that's what I told him. Like, I want to perfect what we do right now. I don't really want to get bigger, nor do I want to get bigger. We hover right around that 18 to 22 guy mark. And that's about right for us.
Fun size.
Yeah, it's a really good size. Everybody gets along great. Everybody helps each other out. I mean, we're gonna start a little softball team. It's fun, the camaraderie is there and everybody gets along. Every once in a while we'll have a little bit of a parasite that comes in that mixes things up, but everybody's gonna have that. But for the most part, we keep everybody pretty happy and we have a very low turnover rate. And we're just like you said, we're just looking to perfect things and get things better, do some development stuff here and there. And we've got some crews that's what they like to do. They want to do some development. They want to still do some residential excavation of basins and things like that. So I'll kind of let them do both. If they're efficient at both of them, then by all means, we're gonna let them do both and let them kind of show us what they can do and mix it up a little bit. It's always nice to be able to mix it up and let them do some different things because it just changes things up for them. It just keeps it interesting for them.
Yeah. What was the deciding factor to, like, obviously, you saw that there would be an opening or you needed some help in the office, but like, what was the deciding factor? Be like, okay, I'm going to hire this guy and I need somebody to do this role.
We've been looking for guys for like the last roughly 3 years. Had one guy that we thought was going to work out. He stayed where he was at. Found another guy. He was a lot of smoke and mirrors. Things didn't work out with him. He had a good head on his shoulders. He had a good attitude. Got along with people great. But as far as, understanding the role, he didn't really understand the role very well like I thought he was going to. Didn't pick up on it as quick as I thought he was going to. And then this other guy here, he came to us and just has been really, really good for us and fits right in. Great person. He's got a really good personality. He's got good demeanor, just has been really good. And he told me, he says, "Hey, I'd like to maybe do some bids on some subdivision stuff if you're willing." And I says, "Yeah, I'm totally willing. And I think one of our crews will be willing to do it too." That's just, I didn't have the time myself to sit down in the office and do what needed to be done because I'm too busy with trying to take care of our customers, trying to make sure all the jobs are going right, trying to make sure everybody's questions are answered, trying to make sure everybody's going the right direction. Just the day-to-day, everyday stuff out in the field just takes a lot of time. And so with bringing him on, he really filled that void for us to have somebody in the office, to have somebody, to get numbers put together, to gather numbers, to gather data, things like that. And he's got some systems that he's got that we put into place that's been great. And so it's one of those things where I've always been a firm believer in you can always grow as fast as good people will allow you to grow. Like we can go out and buy equipment all we want, like all we want. But if we don't have the right people in the right places to put forth what needs to be done as far as the work and the quality and the scheduling and the doing, you could go out and do a job tomorrow. And if you didn't do a good job, you'll never get that call back. That's what I needed to have was somebody like him to put into his position to where he could help us not necessarily grow as far as size goes, but just grow as far as knowledge goes and keeping tabs on doing a good job.
Yeah. So, what I'm interested in too, Ryan, is I know you're talking a lot about getting people in key roles. Really, we struggle with that as well too, right? Like right now, we struggle having somebody kind of out there because I'm more outward facing on both businesses that we kind of have going on right now, and it's really hard to find that person that's kind of like really key and crucial. Like, what's your role? Because I think it takes a very good mindset to understand, like, okay, I'm lacking here and I'm not good at this, so I need to get somebody to do this. So, what's your ideal role and what are you good at?
My ideal role, I think, is just relationships, just going out and making relationships, maintaining relationships. But I think that's kind of any business owner's deal. I can go out, run the machines, I can go out and do the job, but now to where I'm at in my stage of my career, I feel dumb saying it, but I piss everybody off when I go work with them. It's like I'll say something stupid, which I'm kind of just joking, but somebody will take it wrong. And then next thing I know, they want to quit. And it's like, wait a minute. No, I didn't mean that at all. Like I was just messing with you. where I'm best suited for my business is making sure that the relationships are taken care of, making sure that the jobs are being done the way that the relationships expect them to be done. That to me, I think is how I've been able to keep and maintain relationships over the years is because people expect a certain type of work out of us, and we got to make sure that we take care of that. And I have 4 guys that I really don't have to worry about that are all out every day. And we have 6 crews. The other 2 crews are a little more green. They still do a great job, but I still have to kind of watch them a little bit. But I think for me, relationships and just the overall flow of the business and getting work and seeing that, the work is being done and being carried out properly. Those are the things I think where I'm the strongest at. Guys can do the work. Not everyone has the relationships that are needed to continue on with your customers. And then also I'm trying to kind of get to where we diversify a little bit. We're trying to find some different things to get into as far as excavation goes, different supplies, things like that. Right now we're looking at doing some stuff with carrying some attachments, getting into carrying some things like that. So, like we can sell not only to us, but we can also sell to other customers out there, other people around the country, around the world. And just promoting products that I feel like are good quality products. That's the name of the game a lot of times. Like we talked about earlier, you can find some good products, but you got to have backing behind them, and they've got to be a good solid product. And that's kind of where I'm at right now is like there's a lot of stuff in Sweden that's really, really, really good as far as the quality goes. So we're looking at some of that. There's some stuff over in the European countries. There's stuff over in China and Japan. They're really good. So as far as, that goes, like we talked about, I think there's a lot of that stuff can be explored a lot. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm 50. I'll be 51, this coming month. And I'm not getting any younger. I got to find some other things to do to where it's not just, excavation. I got to find some things where I don't really have an exit strategy. I'd like one of my daughters to take over, but we'll kind of see what happens with that. We'll see if she finds somebody that can help her with that, or that wants to help her with that, or maybe she doesn't want to do it at all. It's hard to say. But my role right now, where I'm best suited, I think, is the relationships, finding the work and making sure that, people are happy with what we're doing for them. That's, I think, where my role is best suited.
To the business owner listening right now, what would you say is some key tips for relationships and how to maintain those? Is it, obviously it's doing good work, but I mean, like, what are you doing to ensure what's going through your brain to be like, oh, I should, maybe take them out for a lunch, or, oh, maybe we got some, hockey game tickets, should take them out for like a stuff like that. Or is it just stopping in, they see your presence, they see you on site, they know that you're doing good work?
Stopping in, seeing them, keep in contact with them. I think that type of stuff is the most important thing. They want to know that they're being taken care of, right? Just so does everyone else. And when you stop and think about it, if you're staying in constant contact with them, they see you on the jobs, they know that you're there, you talk to them about the jobs, they understand that you know what's going on with the jobs. That means a lot to them because that means that you are there to take care of them as well as their clients. And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is taking care of them and their client, because if their client's happy, then they're going to make their life a lot easier. And then in return, the contractor's going to make your life a lot easier. And to me, it's one of those things where you can wine and dine people all you want, but if you're not really taking care of them as far as doing them a good job and making sure that their job is done well, That's the biggest thing in my opinion right there is just making sure that your customer is taken care of the way that you would want to be taken care of if it was you in their shoes.
Yeah, one thing I think that I mean, I get the vibe that you do this, very good. But as you kind of get busier and pulled in different directions, and especially even being like 3 kids under 4 years old, so like managing family and business and all this stuff. One thing I kind of internally found was like when I was going to sites, especially just the last past year and a half, it's been crazy busy. If I was going to site, it's because there was an issue and something bad was going down. That's when I was going, right? It was like, okay, the client called, this happened on site, or okay, the foreman called, this issue happened. And it was a terrible thing. So I try to now do this, I call it like wandering, where I will actually just, it's true. It sounds silly, but like you get so wrapped up in the business and other stuff that it's like, wait, I realize every time I'm going to site, everyone's like, oh, what happened? What happened? Taylor's here. Something. And like, you don't want that, right? So now I try to, go to site, try to stop in around, coffee time, bring the guys coffee. So they're going to laugh when I say that because half the time I show up and go, it is 9:15. Sorry, boys. But, try to show up and actually just be like, so it looks good, and just talk to them and make sure stuff's going all right. Because I find a lot of business owners too to manage relationships is they just show up kind of when shit hits the fan, but you have to show up when shit doesn't hit the fan because then that prevents from hitting the fan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. And also too, like for me, right? Like when I show up on site, like my guys like my presence. I found that my guys like to have me around. They don't necessarily like want to have me around. Like a lot of times, like, hey, you're making me nervous. I'm like, why am I making you nervous? It's like, it's just it's just kind of that thing that these guys, I'm not there to make them nervous. I'm not there to tell them what to do. I'm there just to kind of watch what they're doing and see how things are going, look at the overall job site and see how things are going. If they need something, let me know. But the other nice thing too is my guys know that I won't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I think that carries a lot of weight with guys nowadays is he won't ask us to do anything he won't do himself. It's like one day I was saying, "Hey, we need to clean this up over here." And they're like, "Well, there's a lot of concrete over there." And I'm like, "Well, you should be able to break that up." And they're like, "Really?" I says, "Yeah." I walked over there and grabbed a shovel and picked it up with a shovel, because you got concrete that's maybe a half-inch thick that they just kind of splattered out on the ground, and we got to do a little concrete prep on there, and so they got to clean it up and rake the gravel, and so it's just one of those things where it's like, if I can do this in 2 minutes, you can do it in 2 minutes, or you can do it in 5 minutes, Like I told the guys, just put forth the effort. If I can do it, I know you can do it, and it's one of those things where, honestly, anybody can do anything they put their mind to. They just have to want it bad enough. Anything. Like, it's crazy, but the mind is an amazing thing, and I was told that a long time ago. You can do anything you put your mind to, and it's totally true. I've found it to be true. There's some things you might need some help with, but man, you can do anything you wanna do. If you wanna do it bad enough, you can do it no problem. And, that's just kinda been my motto is, "Hey, if you want it, you can do it. You just gotta want it bad enough." To me, like, people feed off of your positivity, people feed off your negativity. I've always told people all the time, "Hey, it don't do you no good to be negative." Like, negativity breeds negative. If you want to be positive, positive things are gonna happen. If you wanna be negative, negative things are gonna happen for sure. And so it's one of those things where I just feel like, you know, you can be down all you want, but it don't do you no good. Not at all. Like, it just makes your life more miserable. It makes your life harder. And as humans, we don't want to make our lives hard. We don't wanna have to worry about hard things. Like, we can do hard things. It's as easy or as hard as you make it, and that's what life is. Life is easy or life is hard. Just depends on how you want your attitude to be with it.
Yeah, those are some definitely wise words to live by. I like that. I want that. That's a real solid thing. I mean, we're coming up on 45 minutes, so I feel like we should just like end it on that. That was a solid note. That was fantastic. I'm fired up now to be a good human being. But yeah, honestly, Ryan, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It sucks we didn't get too much time to catch up there, but because I know you're always doing cool shit. But again, like I appreciate you cutting out the time, especially to even talk today. And you know, maybe it'll be 3 years from now the next time we see each other. But I know we'll pick up where we left off. And I appreciate all the time that you dedicate for also ConExpo and everything like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And it's great, learning, getting to know people like you and getting people to know around the industry and stuff like that. And the industry's full of a lot of great people, and there's a lot of good things happening and there's just a lot of things we can all do for each other. It's just a matter of just reaching out, like you said. And that might be 3 years until we see each other next or we talk to each other next, but it's kind of like we just picked up right off where we left off. That's the beauty of things. Time goes by so fast, and what you do with it is up to you. But man, I'll tell you what, relationships are they're strong, and you got to keep them strong, and they're everything.
Could not agree more. So I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on today, Ryan. And let's get back to work.
You bet. Thanks, Taylor. Have a good day, man. Good talking to you.
Thank you for coming on today.